Before the first rays of sunlight touched the morning dew, there was a stillness that settled deep into the soil of the meadow. It was a silence so profound that it felt like a soft blanket draped over the earth. Then, gradually, the world began to wake. Far off in the distance, a low, resonant sound vibrated through the cool air, a gentle moo, rhythmic and steady, a signal that the day had begun. This was not a hurried sound, it was the heartbeat of the pasture, a slow, deep vibration that seemed to harmonize with the very movement of the wind through the tall, slumbering grasses. For anyone listening, it served as a soothing invitation to let go of the day's burdens and simply drift into the rhythmic pulse of nature. A thin veil of white mist clung to the ground, curling like slow smoke around the sturdy stems of wildflowers and the edges of the grazing land. Above, the sky was beginning to shift from the deep, velvet indigo of night to the softest hues of lavender and pale gold. Within this ethereal morning light, the meadow seemed to breathe. Every dewdrop balanced perfectly on the tip of a blade of grass, capturing the world in miniature. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of damp earth and awakening clover. A fragrance that grounded the senses and promised a slow, unhurried morning. Then, she emerged. A quiet, steady figure moving through the fading mist with a grace born of deep instinct. Her hide, a mosaic of warm colors, caught the first glint of the rising sun. She did not rush. She moved with a measured, deliberate pace, her head held low as she surveyed the emerald carpet beneath her hooves. She was a gentle presence, a creature of calm, steady breaths and watchful, dark eyes that reflected the vastness of the horizon. In this moment, she was the anchor of the landscape, a timeless inhabitant of the open field. Her journey was one dictated by the ancient rhythms of the earth. She walked not because she sought anything other than the quiet life she was born into, but because movement was simply part of her nature. As she stepped forward, the grass yielded softly, a lush and nourishing bed that had sustained her kind for generations. There was no urgency in her gait, only the steady flow of life moving through the seasons. She was a silent witness to the world around her, attuned to the slightest shift in the breeze or the distant call of a meadowlark waking in the nearby thicket. The story she carried within her was a long one, stretching far back into the history of the wild plains. It was a tale of sun-drenched afternoons, the steady companionship of the herd, and the quiet satisfaction of a life spent in harmony with the cycle of the seasons. She walked on, marking the beginning of a life that would unfold in perfect sync with the turning of the earth. Every step she took was a quiet affirmation of her place here, a testament to the simplicity and peace that defined her existence in this boundless, green sanctuary. As the sun finally broke the horizon, painting the meadow in brilliant strokes of gold, the landscape came to life. The shadows stretched long and thin, and the light began to warm the fur on her back. A new day had arrived, and with it, the promise of another chapter in the quiet, unfolding story of her life. The dew began to evaporate into the warming air, leaving behind a world renewed and refreshed. In this peaceful morning, beneath the wide, open sky, the cycle continued, undisturbed and eternal, welcoming the light of a new spring day. Long before the fences were built and the meadows were mapped, the ancestors of our quiet companion roamed a world that was wild, vast, and untamed. They were the aurochs, powerful creatures that stood as symbols of strength and endurance. These ancient beings were larger, their horns curving outward in majestic arcs, and they possessed a spirit of freedom that echoed across the forests and plains of Eurasia. To look back at the aurochs is to understand the deep, primal history written into the very DNA of the cow. They were the masters of the landscape, navigating deep winters and scorching summers with a resilience that allowed their lineage to persist through the ages. As human civilization began to grow, The relationship between these majestic beasts and the people who shared their world began to shift. The journey of domestication was not a sudden event, but a slow, rhythmic transition that unfolded over thousands of years. It was a partnership born of proximity and mutual adaptation. Early humans recognized the value of the cattle, not just for their physical strength, but for their steady, calm presence. These animals were creatures of habit, content to graze in familiar patterns and find comfort in the safety of a group. Through generations of careful observation and gentle guidance, the wild spirit of the aurochs evolved, mellowing into the docile, steady nature we recognize today. This transformation was not about changing the essence of the creature, but rather refining it for a life shared with humanity. The cattle did not lose their connection to the earth, rather, they deepened it. As they spread across the globe, following the paths of human migration, they adapted to every corner of the world, from the rugged highlands of Scotland to the sun-baked plains of India and the vast, rolling prairies of the Americas. Cattle became a constant, comforting presence. Each region shaped them in turn, giving rise to the many breeds we see today, some built for the mountain air, others for the humid lowlands, each a testament to the incredible flexibility of their species. Despite these changes, the fundamental character of the cow remained untouched. Whether they were grazing on the lush hillsides of Europe or the arid steppes of Asia, they remained creatures of the herd, defined by their social bonds and their deep-seated need for peace. They carried with them the memory of the wild, a subtle instinct that drew them to the best pastures and guided them through the changing seasons. The resilience of the aurochs still pulsed within them, a quiet strength that allowed them to thrive in environments that would have been far too harsh for less sturdy animals. As we look at the vast tapestry of cattle history, we see a story of endurance. They have been the silent companions of human progress, standing in fields while empires rose and fell, chewing their cud with the same steady, meditative rhythm that has lasted for millennia. They have survived shifts in climate, changes in landscape, and the unpredictable nature of the world, all by remaining true to their core, a life of simple needs and quiet contemplation. They are, in many ways, a bridge between the ancient world and our own, a living piece of history that continues to walk among us in the soft morning light. This brings us back to our heroine, standing in the gentle mist of her own meadow. She is the culmination of all those ancestors, a living link in an unbroken chain that stretches back to the dawn of time. Within her, the strength of the aurochs is softened by the peaceful life she leads. She does not know of the wild forests or the long migrations of the past, yet the wisdom of those times is embedded in her instincts. She knows when the storm is coming by the way the air pressure shifts, and she knows the best patches of clover by the way the scent clings to the dew. She is not merely a creature of her environment, she is a part of its very structure. As she shifts her weight and begins to graze, she is participating in a ritual that has been repeated millions of times across the history of her species. Every movement she makes is an echo of the past, a continuation of a story that is as old as the grasslands themselves. She is at once an individual, with her own quiet preferences and habits, and a representative of a long, noble lineage that has graced the earth with its peaceful presence since the beginning. As the sun continues to climb higher, warming the dew-kissed grass, our heroine stands as a beacon of stability. She is the quiet heart of the world, untroubled by the complexities that define so much of human life. For her, existence is stripped down to the most beautiful essentials: the taste of sweet grass, the warmth of the sun on her back, and the comforting proximity of her companions. In this simplicity, she finds a profound kind of freedom, the freedom to exist entirely in the present moment. Her story is a reminder of the value of slowing down. In a world that is constantly racing toward the next moment, she remains firmly rooted in the now. Her life is a meditation, a slow, steady unfolding of days that are measured in the rising and setting of the sun. As she grazes, she embodies the peace that the ancient ancestors sought, a peace that has been carefully preserved and passed down through generations. She is a testament to the idea that there is great power in gentleness, and that the most enduring things in life are often the ones that move the most quietly. And so, we find her here, in this perfect, green sanctuary. She is ready to begin the cycle of her own life, a journey that will take her through the turning of the seasons, the growth of her own family, and the steady, quiet accumulation of years. She is ready, as she has always been, to meet the day with a calm heart and a steady spirit. The history of her kind is not a burden, it is a foundation, a sturdy earth beneath her hooves that gives her the confidence to move forward, one gentle step at a time. The morning unfolds, and she is exactly where she is meant to be, participating in the quiet, unfolding miracle of a life lived in harmony with nature. To observe our cow is to witness an architectural marvel of biology, a form that has been sculpted by millions of years of evolution to exist in a state of perpetual, calm equilibrium. Everything about her design is a testament to the life of a grazer, a creature whose primary purpose is to transform the simple energy of the sun, stored within the blades of grass, into the steady, quiet life force that animates her. Her face, broad and serene, carries an expression of profound patience. Her eyes, large and deep-set, are masterpieces of peripheral vision, allowing her to monitor the horizon even while she grazes, ensuring she is never caught unaware by the shifting patterns of the world around her. When she looks at you, there is no judgment, only a steady, soulful gaze that seems to hold the quiet wisdom of the ages. Her ears are equally remarkable, constantly twitching and rotating to capture the softest sounds of the meadow. Whether it is the rustle of a beetle in the tall grass, the distant whistle of the wind through the trees, or the low-frequency movements of her companions, she is always attuned. This sensitivity is not born of fear, but of a deep, innate connection to the environment. Her nose, broad and textured, is a highly sensitive instrument that navigates the nuances of the landscape. She can smell the freshest patch of clover long before she reaches it, and she can sense the approaching humidity of a summer rainstorm hours before the clouds gather. This sensory awareness creates a bubble of comfort around her, a sphere of quiet where she is always in touch with the pulse of the living land. Atop her head, depending on her breed, may sit a pair of horns. In their natural, unadorned state, they are elegant crescents, adding to her dignified silhouette. They are not merely for defense, though they serve that purpose well. They are also a key part of her social language. A subtle tilt of the head or a gentle nudge can communicate a great deal within the hierarchy of the herd. They are a physical manifestation of her strength, yet she carries them with a grace that softens their edges. They are a part of her, grown from the same earth that feeds her, and they lend her an air of ancient, quiet authority as she moves through the fields. Below, her legs are pillars of sturdy endurance, built for long days of standing and steady, rhythmic travel across uneven ground. Her hooves are designed to distribute her weight perfectly. Each step is a lesson in stability. She does not bound or leap. She walks with a deliberate, grounded grace, her hooves pressing into the soil with a satisfying soft thud. This gait is the foundation of her energy conservation. By moving slowly and with intention, she ensures that she never wastes the precious fuel she gains from her long hours of grazing. She is a creature of efficiency, and there is a hypnotic beauty in the way her body weight shifts as she moves from one patch of grass to the next. Perhaps the most fascinating aspect of her design is the interior world. specifically her complex four-chambered stomach. This is the engine of her existence, a biological wonder that allows her to turn tough, fibrous vegetation into nourishment. When she consumes grass, she does not simply eat, she participates in a rhythmic cycle of gathering and processing. She grazes, filling the first chamber of her stomach with a bountiful supply. And then, when she finds a comfortable spot in the shade or the warm sun, she begins the process of rumination. She brings the food back up, a process that looks to the observer like a calm, meditative chewing, and carefully breaks it down further. This process is the definition of contentment. It is a slow, methodical return to her food, ensuring that she extracts every bit of vitality from the meadow's offering. This four-part system is the reason she can survive on the open plains where other creatures might struggle. It is the secret behind her ability to spend her days in such deep, unbothered peace. While other animals must constantly hunt or forage for high-energy snacks, she is satisfied with the vast, green bounty that grows at her feet. This dietary rhythm is the heartbeat of her day, dictating her pace and providing the structure for her moments of rest. It allows her to live in a state of constant, slow-motion nourishment, where the act of eating is not a frantic necessity, but a rhythmic, grounding meditation. Every single one of these physical traits works in perfect harmony to support the life she leads. Her body is a vessel for patience, and the way her lungs expand with each slow breath. To the steady thump of her heart, she is built to last. She is not a creature of bursts of activity, but a creature of long-term presence. This design allows her to endure the changing temperatures, the long winters, and the bright, humid summers without ever losing her cool. She is built for the long haul, designed to walk the earth for years, quietly contributing to the life of the herd. As she stands now, grazing with that familiar, steady rhythm, she is a living testament to the perfection of nature's engineering. There is no wasted energy, no unnecessary movement. She is exactly what she needs to be, nothing more and nothing less. This physical harmony is what gives her that aura of absolute peace that we, as observers, find so relaxing. When we look at her, we are looking at a creature whose body is in total alignment with its purpose. She moves a few steps forward, her head dipping down once more to taste the sweet, sun-warmed clover. Her ears flick, catching the sound of a rustling leaf, and her tail swishes with a gentle, lazy motion to ward off a passing fly. Everything about her is deliberate. She is a beautiful, functioning part of the landscape, as natural as the trees that provide her shade or the stream that quenches her thirst. In her, we see the elegance of form meeting the simplicity of function, a quiet masterpiece of life that has been refined by the slow, gentle hands of time. And as she continues to graze, chewing slowly and methodically, she seems to be teaching us a lesson in existence. She does not rush the process. She does not worry about the next blade of grass or the movement of the clouds. She simply is. She occupies her space with a quiet confidence that is entirely natural. In the grand tapestry of the natural world, she is a steady, reassuring thread, woven with intention and maintained with the silent, rhythmic wisdom of her ancient, wild ancestors. She is a reminder that a life lived simply, in tune with one's own nature, is a life of true, lasting harmony. The world that our cow calls home is a vast, expansive canvas painted in infinite shades of green. It is a landscape defined by its openness, a place where the horizon seems to stretch on forever, and the sky feels like a personal canopy draped just for her. These meadows are not merely patches of land, they are vibrant, breathing ecosystems that provide everything she needs to thrive. The soil here is rich and deep, nurtured by the slow decay of organic matter and the gentle passage of the seasons, creating a foundation that supports a lush carpet of clover, ryegrass, and fescue. It is a world of abundance, where the earth provides a constant, generous supply of nourishment, that requires nothing more than a slow, steady walk to discover. Scattered throughout this territory are small, inviting woodlands, clusters of ancient oaks and maples that offer a different kind of sanctuary. During the heat of the day, these trees serve as a cooling retreat, their broad canopies filtering the harsh sunlight into dappled patterns of gold and shadow on the forest floor. Here, the air is cooler and carries the scent of damp moss and bark. Our cow knows these paths well. She moves between the open sunshine of the grazing fields and the quiet, dim safety of the tree lines with the ease of someone who knows exactly where to find comfort. The woodland is a place of stillness, where the rustle of leaves replaces the open breeze, providing a different, more intimate layer to her day. The climate of her home is a gentle teacher, a cycle that never surprises her. In the early months of the year, the spring rain softens the earth and coaxes the first tender shoots of grass from the soil. This is a time of renewal, where the world feels crisp and full of potential. As the weeks progress, the days grow longer and the sun sits higher, ushering in the warm, golden glow of summer. In this season, the meadow hums with the sound of insects and the heat shimmers in delicate waves above the grass. The weather is steady and predictable, allowing her to settle into a rhythm that is as reliable as the setting sun. Central to her life is the presence of the herd. She is never truly alone, and in this, she finds her greatest sense of security. The herd is a living, breathing entity, a collective of souls that move as one. When they graze, they form a loose, shifting pattern that blankets the hillside. When they rest, they gather in tight, warm clusters, their sides touching, their rhythmic breathing creating a chorus of low, soothing sounds. This companionship is the bedrock of her mental peace. She doesn't need to be constantly vigilant because the herd is watching with hundreds of eyes. She doesn't need to feel anxious because the collective mood of the group is one of steady, grounded calm. In the herd, she finds a silent language that transcends words. A flick of a tail, the direction of a gaze, or a gentle nudge of a nose can convey a wealth of information. They share the best grazing spots and the safest places to sleep. They move in harmony, turning as one to face the breeze or shifting their collective weight to find the perfect shade. This social structure is fluid and intuitive. It is a dance of cooperation that has been perfected over thousands of years. Within this group, she is both an individual with her own habits and a vital piece of a larger, stronger whole. Spring is the time when the meadow truly comes alive. The earth, having rested through the winter, erupts in a surge of growth that fills the air with the scent of sweet, crushed grass. Every step she takes reveals a new cluster of clover, vibrant and dew-touched. It is a season of plenty, and the energy in the meadow is palpable. The young calves, full of restless curiosity, bounce and play in the newly sprouted patches, their innocence a bright contrast to the measured, dignified pace of the adults. Our cow watches them with a quiet, knowing gaze, her own movements reflecting the steadiness of maturity amidst the youthful energy of the herd. As the season transitions toward the first days of summer, the grass grows long and thick, swaying in the afternoon breeze like waves on a green ocean. This is the height of her comfort. The days are long enough to allow for hours of uninterrupted grazing, followed by long, leisurely sessions of lying down to ruminate. She finds a favorite spot, perhaps on a slight rise in the ground that catches the breeze and settles in. As she lies there, legs tucked beneath her, she is the picture of absolute contentment. The sun warms her hide, the breeze brushes against her ears, and the herd remains close, a comforting wall of presence that shields her from the world. This environment is not just a place to live, it is a partner in her life. The meadow responds to her presence, and she, in turn, cares for the meadow. As she grazes, she encourages the growth of new, healthy shoots, and her steady movement creates paths that become the arteries of the landscape. She is part of the cycle of growth and decay, a silent participant in the ongoing work of the earth. There is a deep, unspoken bond between the animal and the land, a connection that feels as ancient and solid as the hills themselves. As the sun begins to dip lower, casting long, soft shadows across the pasture, she rises with a slow, graceful heave. The first day of the coming summer feels endless and full of promise. She takes a few tentative bites of the tall, sweet grass, her jaws moving in that hypnotic, circular rhythm that defines her existence. The transition from spring to summer is marked by the deepening green of the fields and the softening of the air, a change that she welcomes with the same calm acceptance that she brings to everything else. She is perfectly at home here, in a world that asks nothing of her but that she be herself. There is no stress, no complexity, no rush. There is only the grass, the herd, and the endless, soothing expanse of the meadow. As she walks slowly toward a cluster of trees to spend the evening, she does so with a sense of belonging that is rare and beautiful. She is a creature of the earth, in every sense of the word, finding her peace in the soil beneath her feet and the sky above her head. The meadow is her cradle, her classroom, and her sanctuary, a place where she can simply exist, fully and without reservation, in the quiet heart of the natural world. The morning does not arrive with a sudden shout of light, but with a gradual, pearlescent softening of the horizon. It is in this twilight transition, just before the sun clears the distant tree line, that our cow begins her day. She is the first to stir, her senses sharp even in the quietude of the fading night. She rises with a slow, coordinated movement, her back arching slightly before she stretches her limbs, shaking off the stillness of sleep. There is no urgency in her awakening, only a steady, calm transition into the rhythm of the day. She stands for a moment, her breath visible as a faint mist in the cool dawn air, listening to the world around her. Soon, the others join her. One by one, the shapes of the herd emerge from the shadows, their forms solid and comforting against the pale sky. They do not call out, they communicate through subtle shifts of their bodies and the gentle, rhythmic sound of hooves pressing into the damp earth. Together, they begin to move, a slow motion procession toward the heart of the pasture. They follow paths that have been worn into the grass over countless generations, a collective memory that guides them toward the freshest, most dew-laden patches of clover. As they walk, the rising sun begins to cast its first long, golden fingers of light across the meadow, illuminating the morning in shades of amber and pale green. The walk to the grazing grounds is a meditative act. There is a profound sense of purpose in their movement, yet it is entirely unhurried. They are not chasing the day, they are greeting it. Along the way, they pause occasionally, not for any specific reason, but simply to observe, to catch the scent of the morning breeze, or to offer a soft, low vocalization that serves as a quiet acknowledgement of the group's unity. This is the time of day when the world feels most fragile and beautiful, and the herd moves through it like a steady, calm river flowing through a quiet landscape. As they reach the designated patch of the meadow, the grazing begins. It is a systematic, peaceful process. Our cow lowers her head, her broad, textured tongue wrapping around a bunch of lush, green grass, and with a gentle, tearing motion, she gathers her first bite of the day. She does not chew frantically. She masticates with a slow, deliberate circular motion of her jaw, the sound a steady, grounding rasp that blends perfectly with the chirping of birds and the soft rustle of the wind. This is the music of the pasture, a natural, lulling symphony that seems to slow time itself. There There is a remarkable sense of order within the herd as they graze. They move in a loose, shifting formation, ensuring that every individual has access to the best sustenance. Our cow finds her place near the edge of a cluster, where the clover is thick and sweet. She works her way across the field, her head bobbing in a rhythm that matches the swaying of the grass. The sun rises higher, its warmth beginning to penetrate the cool morning air, turning the dew on the grass into shimmering points of light. The smell is intoxicating, a mixture of crushed green leaves, damp soil, and the clean, crisp essence of a world that is waking up anew. The mood of the herd is one of absolute serenity. There is no competition, no anxiety, only the collective focus on the present. If a bird flits suddenly from a nearby bush, a few heads might lift in unison, eyes tracking the movement for a brief second, but there is no alarm. They possess a deep, innate confidence in their safety. They are creatures of the meadow, and the meadow is a place of peace. When they feel content, their ears are relaxed, their tails swish in lazy, hypnotic arcs, and their eyes remain soft and unfocused, as if they are lost in a pleasant, waking dream. The breeze picks up, carrying the scent of distant wildflowers, and our cow pauses to lift her head and breathe it in deeply. She is not just eating, she is experiencing her environment. Her nostrils flare, capturing the subtle notes of the morning, the dampness of the nearby stream, the faint, earthy aroma of the forest edge, and the sweet, musk-like presence of the herd surrounding her. Every breath is a connection, a way of grounding herself in the physical reality of the world. She feels the warmth of the sun on her hide, the gentle tickle of tall grasses against her legs, and the weight of the earth beneath her. As the morning progresses, the light transforms from soft gold to a brighter, clearer yellow. The insects begin their low, buzzing drone, adding a new layer to the ambient soundscape. Our cow is well into her first major feeding session of the day. Her side is already slightly fuller, her movements even more relaxed. There is a sense of accomplishment in this, a quiet satisfaction that comes from fulfilling her basic needs in the most natural way possible. She has no concept of time, no clock to watch, and no schedule to keep. There is only the rhythm of the hunger and the gratification, the cycle of the morning sun and the deepening green of the grass. Occasionally, she glances toward the other members of the herd. She sees a younger one testing its legs nearby, and an elder standing with the same quiet dignity that she herself carries. They are a community of existence, each one a mirror of the other. The solitude she feels is not the loneliness of being apart, but the quietude of being perfectly content within herself, surrounded by those who understand her life without a single word being spoken. The morning is moving toward noon, but there is no sense of rush. She takes a step forward, selecting a new patch of forage, her hooves sinking slightly into the soft, yielding ground. The world is large and full of wonder, yet for her, it is contained within the boundaries of this pasture. It is a world that is enough. It is a world that provides. As she continues to chew, her eyes slowly closing for a brief moment of profound rest, she embodies the very essence of peace. The day has begun, the hunger is satisfied, and she is at rest within the beauty of the waking earth. This is the start of another day in a life of profound, gentle grace, a day that asks for nothing more than to be lived, one quiet, deliberate bite at a time. Movement for our cow is not a means to a destination, but a fluid expression of her being. She does not walk with the hurried stride of a creature driven by urgency. Instead, she moves with a measured, deliberate grace that suggests she is always exactly where she needs to be. When she travels, it is a slow, rhythmic affair, a gentle shifting of weight from one sturdy limb to the next, her hooves making a soft, muffled sound against the earth. To watch her walk is to watch the landscape itself in motion, as she traverses the rolling hills and dips in the pasture with a quiet, grounded confidence. She is a creature of the earth, and every step she takes feels as though it is designed to settle the soil beneath her, creating a seamless connection between her heavy, solid form and the land she calls home. There are, however, moments when the natural instinct for speed awakens, not from fear, but from the sheer joy of vitality. On the first days of spring, when the air is crisp and the grass is vibrant, she might suddenly break into a trot. It is a surprising sight, such a heavy, dignified creature transforming into a picture of spirited energy. Her gait becomes lighter, her ears perk up, and she might even perform a clumsy, playful bound. These moments are brief and rare, usually triggered by the sudden shifting of the herd or the simple exuberance of a sunny, wind-whipped afternoon. Once the burst of energy passes, she slows immediately, returning to her usual calm, steady pace as if apologizing for the temporary lapse in decorum. Her daily movement is dictated by the needs of the herd. They are a collective, and their travel is a synchronized dance. When the sun beats too harshly in the center of the open field, the herd moves as one toward the shade of the ancient oak trees. This transition is fascinating to witness. There is no leader who commands, but rather a shared, intuitive understanding that ripples through the group. One cow begins to walk, and the others, sensing the change in her posture, follow. They drift across the meadow like a slow-moving cloud, their bodies pressing close together, creating a sense of solidarity and safety. The rhythm of their movement is a silent language, a way of maintaining the bond that keeps them strong and secure. This constant movement also serves as a form of alertness. Though they appear to be lost in their own world, they are never truly disconnected from their surroundings. Even while grazing, their ears are constantly swiveling, scanning the breeze for the scent of a predator or the sound of an unfamiliar presence. They are masters of a soft focus awareness. They remain deeply relaxed, yet they are always ready to react if the environment changes. This balance is what allows them to survive. They don't waste energy on unnecessary tension. They save their strength for the moments when it truly matters. It is a lesson in mindfulness, to be fully present, yet prepared, to be at peace, yet awake. The midday hours are often reserved for rest, and this is where her relationship with the land becomes most intimate. She finds a spot that is perfectly suited to her needs, perhaps a gentle slope that catches the breeze or a patch of shade beneath a canopy of leaves. She lowers herself slowly, her knees hitting the grass first, followed by her hindquarters, until she is settled, tucked away into the earth. Once down, she begins the long, meditative process of rumination. Her eyes half close, her breathing becomes deep and rhythmic, and her jaw continues its steady, hypnotic work. In this state, she is at her most serene. She is not merely resting, she is processing, absorbing, and finding comfort in the silence. As the sun begins its slow descent toward the horizon, the atmosphere of the meadow shifts, the light turns to a soft, bruised purple and orange, and the long shadows of the trees stretch across the grass, cooling the earth. This is the time when the herd begins to settle for the night. They don't move far. They gather in the lower, more sheltered parts of the field, where the wind is less likely to reach them. They find their places in the group, often resting side by side, their heat radiating outward to create a communal warmth. It is a beautiful display of trust. To lie down in the open is an act of vulnerability, yet they do it without fear, confident in the presence of their sisters and the safety of the meadow. The sunset is perhaps the most magical part of her day. As the sky turns to a deep, velvet blue, She watches the stars begin to blink into existence. The transition from day to night is not a loss of light for her, but a change in the texture of her world. The air grows cooler. The sounds of the day, the insects, the birds, slow down and eventually fall silent, replaced by the deep, resonant hum of the night. She remains calm, her body temperature steady, her mind clear. There is no stress about what the darkness might bring, only the quiet acceptance of the natural cycle. These moments of rest are essential to her wisdom. They are the times when she is most in tune with the world, when the noise of the day has faded and she can truly listen to the earth. She has learned the patterns of the wind, the way the temperature drops, and the subtle changes that happen when the moon takes its place in the sky. She knows her place in this cycle, and she finds comfort in it. She is a part of something much larger than herself, a slow, eternal movement that has been repeating since the dawn of time. Even in her sleep, or the light, waking rest that serves as her sleep, she remains alert. A sudden rustle of dry leaves is enough to lift an ear, and the call of a nightbird is enough to cause her to shift her position slightly. She is never entirely gone. She is always here, rooted in the pasture, a permanent fixture of the landscape. Her life is a continuous loop of movement and rest, a balanced equation that results in a steady, peaceful existence. She has mastered the art of living without trying, of being exactly what she is without apology. As the moonlight washes over the meadow, turning the grass into a sea of silver, she rests. She is a silent, majestic silhouette against the vastness of the night. She has walked across the fields, grazed in the warmth of the sun, and found the safety of the herd. She has lived another day to its fullest, not by doing, but by being. The night is a gift, a time to replenish her strength so that she can rise with the sun and begin the rhythm all over again. And in this quiet, silvered darkness, the cow remains at peace, a quiet witness to the beauty of a world that is, above all else, steady, reliable, and deeply, profoundly calm. In the quiet expanse of the meadow, where human words hold no sway, there exists a rich, complex language of sound and subtle movement. Our cow is a participant in this silent symphony, communicating with her herd in ways that are as profound as they are understated. Her most familiar call, the low, resonant moo, is far more than a simple noise. It is a nuanced expression of intent and emotion. When she calls out in the soft light of the morning, it is a greeting, a way of anchoring her presence within the group. When she calls to her calf, the tone shifts, becoming shorter, sharper, and filled with an instinctive urgency that resonates with maternal devotion. To the untrained ear, these sounds might seem repetitive, but to the herd, they are a map of intentions, carrying meanings as specific as "I am here," "follow me," or "stay close." Beyond the voice, there is the silent, eloquent language of the body. Her posture acts as a mirror to her internal state, providing a constant stream of information to those around her. A head held high, with ears pricked forward, signals a keen interest in something new on the horizon, while a head tucked low, with ears tilted slightly backward, indicates a state of total, blissful relaxation. Her tail, too, is a primary tool of expression. A lazy, rhythmic swish keeps the air around her clear, but a stiff, upright tail can signify agitation or alertness, alerting her companions to be wary before they have even sensed a threat. Every shift of her weight, every twitch of her skin, is a word in the narrative she shares with her sisters. Communicating with the herd is a constant process of calibration. As they move through the day, they are engaged in a silent negotiation, a consensus-based approach to life. If one cow moves toward the shade, the others observe her body language, the direction of her gaze, the tension in her stride, and they respond in kind. This is the essence of their social cohesion. There is no force, no hierarchy maintained through aggression. There is only a shared, intuitive alignment. They are like a single organism, with each cow acting as a nerve ending that senses the mood and needs of the collective. When one feels safe and calm, the entire herd settles. When one feels a flicker of unease, the energy shifts through the group, a ripple of awareness that unites them in a common focus. Perhaps the most intimate form of communication occurs during the quiet hours of grazing, when the cows are close enough to touch. They engage in a dance of scent, a vital, ancient language that humans often overlook. By breathing in the air around one another, they learn secrets that eyes cannot see. Scent tells them of the health of their companions, their emotional states, and their social standing. It is the bedrock of their recognition. They know each other by the unique olfactory signature that marks them as part of the same family. A gentle sniff along the flank is a reassurance, a way of reaffirming, I know you, I trust you, we are together. In these moments, the silence is heavy with meaning, a profound acknowledgement of their bond. The maternal connection is where the language of the cow reaches its most tender peak. A mother's call to her calf is a sound unlike any other, a soft, throaty vibration that cuts through the ambient noise of the meadow with absolute clarity. It is a beacon of protection. When the calf wanders too far into the tall grass, that call reaches out like an invisible thread, pulling the young one back into the orbit of the mother's care. The calf, in turn, responds with a high-pitched, insistent bleat that communicates its own hunger or need for comfort. This back and forth is the foundation of the calf's world, a sonic enclosure of safety that allows it to grow and explore with confidence, knowing exactly where its anchor lies. As the sun sets and the colors of the meadow bleed into the deep indigo of night, the nature of their communication changes. The calls become infrequent, trailing off into the velvety silence. The herd settles into a profound stillness, a state of collective being where speech is no longer required. The communication shifts from the audible to the sensory, the warmth of a neighbor's side, the rhythm of their breathing, the shared scent of the night air. This is the silence of the night, a time when the language of the herd is expressed through the absolute peace of their proximity. It is a testament to the safety they find in each other that they can drop their defenses and surrender to the night, trusting that the others are watching, listening, and maintaining the perimeter of their shared calm. This intricate web of communication is the reason the herd can move with such grace across a landscape that is constantly shifting. They do not need to command, they simply need to understand. It is a lesson in cooperation that stands in stark contrast to the noisy, hurried nature of the world beyond the pasture. In the meadow, there is no need to shout to be heard. Every subtle movement, every soft vibration is significant. Every individual is accounted for, not through rules or structures, but through the constant, flowing feedback loop of their social connection. When you sit quietly at the edge of the field, listening to the subtle sounds of the cows, you begin to appreciate the depth of this world. You hear the deep, resonant exhale of a cow settling into the grass, a sound that says, I am content. You hear the soft, playful huff of a calf, a sound that says, I am alive. You hear the collective, rhythmic chewing that forms the background hum of the day, a sound that says, we are together. It is a language of presence. It is a language that celebrates the simple, profound joy of existing in the company of others. As the night deepens, our cow stands quietly, a shadow among shadows. She doesn't need to speak to know that the herd is near. She feels the presence of her companions, a tangible warmth in the darkness. She is part of a language that is as old as the hills, a dialogue of trust and proximity that ensures no one is ever truly lost. In this quiet, she finds a sense of belonging that is absolute. The meadow is not a silent place. It is a place where the most important things are said without a single word, where the heart of the herd beats in a perfect, unspoken rhythm that celebrates the quiet, enduring beauty of their shared lives. The meadow is, to our cow, a vast and generous pantry, a green cathedral of nourishment that reveals its gifts to those who know how to seek them. Her relationship with the earth is one of constant, rhythmic reciprocity. She does not merely consume, she interacts with the landscape, her presence shaping the meadow just as the meadow shapes her. When she moves through the field, her gaze is not on the horizon, but on the delicate architecture of the grass beneath her hooves. She is a selector, a connoisseur of the subtle differences in texture and taste, searching for the tender clover and the sweet, nutrient-rich blades that rise after the morning rain. This search is the primary occupation of her day, a task she approaches with the focus of a meditative practice. The act of gathering food is an art form. She does not possess teeth in her upper jaw to bite. Instead, she uses her broad, muscular tongue to wrap around the grass, pulling it against her lower teeth with a gentle, tearing motion. It is a graceful, efficient movement that allows her to harvest large quantities of forage with minimal effort. As she fills her first chamber, the rumen, she is essentially banking energy, storing a vast supply of raw material to be processed during her hours of rest. This is why the morning is so vital. The dew-touched grass is at its most succulent, packed with the moisture and vitality that will sustain her through the heat of the afternoon. She moves with a steady, systematic pace, clearing a path through the field, her head bobbing in a rhythm that seems to be synchronized with the slow pulse of the day. Once she has gathered her fill, the most fascinating part of her biological cycle begins: rumination. This is the hallmark of her calm. She finds a comfortable place, often under the dappled shade of a sprawling tree, and settles down. Her eyes drift shut, her body relaxes, and she begins the slow, rhythmic process of bringing the forage back up to chew it further. This chewing the cud is not merely a digestive necessity, it is a profound state of peace. As she works the food, her jaw moves in a circular, hypnotic pattern, a sound that is as soothing as the rustle of leaves or the distant murmur of a stream. This is when she is most truly herself, untethered from the immediate need to gather, lost in the quiet labor of processing the earth's bounty. Water is the essential companion to this green feast. Her life is punctuated by slow, deliberate journeys to the trough or the natural stream that winds through the lower valley. Drinking is a solemn act for her. She lowers her head to the surface, her muzzle creating ripples that distort the reflection of the clouds above. She drinks with slow, deep gulps, the coolness of the water a refreshing contrast to the warmth of the day. There is a dignity in the way she drinks, a quiet appreciation for the simplicity of the element that sustains all life. When she pulls her head away, droplets fall from her chin, sparkling like diamonds in the sunlight. Before she turns back toward the herd with a sense of renewed vigor. The rhythm of her feeding is governed by the sun. As the morning light intensifies, the grasses lose their dew and the air warms, prompting the herd to move toward the trees. This transition marks the end of the first feeding shift and the beginning of the long, communal rest. In this way, her day is divided into clear, natural chapters: the active, gathering phase of the morning, the reflective, processing phase of the afternoon, and the lingering, social phase of the evening. Each phase has its own mood, its own scent, and its own texture. There is a deep comfort in this repetition, a sense of order that makes the world feel safe and predictable. Within the herd, the feeding cycle is a shared experience. They are often seen standing side by side, heads bowed in unison, their tails flicking in a synchronized wave. This collective grazing provides a unique kind of security. By feeding together, they maximize their awareness. While one cow is focused on a particularly tasty patch of clover, another is listening to the wind, and a third is observing the movement of shadows. They are a mosaic of focus, covering the field with a blanket of watchful eyes and ears. This shared responsibility allows our cow to dive deep into her own experience, knowing that the safety of the group is maintained by every member. There is a quiet intelligence in how she navigates the meadow. She remembers where the sweetest forage grows and where the best shelter is found when the wind shifts. Her life is a collection of maps, stored in her memory and passed down through the silent observations of her ancestors. She knows the timing of the seasons, how the taste of the grass changes from the sharp, sweet tang of spring to the deeper, more robust flavors of summer. She is a part of the meadow's life cycle, her grazing encouraging the soil to remain productive, her presence a necessary part of the ecosystem's balance. She is a gardener of the plains, walking the land and leaving it enriched by her passing. As the sun begins its late afternoon dip, the urge to graze returns. She rises once more, stretching her spine and shaking the dust from her coat. The evening feeding is different. It is more relaxed, more leisurely. The frantic need to fill her stomach has passed, and now she grazes for the pleasure of it, picking out the choicest stems and enjoying the cool breeze that rolls across the pasture. The light is golden, painting the meadow in long, soft shadows, and the world feels as though it is exhaling after the long heat of the day. She is full, satisfied, and perfectly in tune with the requirements of her own body. This daily feeding cycle is the foundation of her contentment. It is a life stripped of the complexities of want and need. There is only the hunger, the gathering, the rest, and the fulfillment. In this loop, she finds a deep, unwavering peace. There is no greed, no hoarding of resources, only the calm acceptance of what the meadow offers today. She is a creature of balance, living in a way that respects the limits of her home while thriving in its abundance. As she takes one final bite of the day, the scent of evening clover filling her senses, she seems to be acknowledging the gift of the earth. She is healthy, she is strong, and she is at peace. A simple, elegant existence built on the humble, glorious bounty of the green, growing world. As the spring blossoms fade and the golden heat of the sun begins to linger longer in the sky, the meadow undergoes a quiet transformation. The lush, tender greens of early spring deepen into the rich, vibrant hues of summer. For our cow, this is a season of profound stability and warmth. The air is no longer crisp with the memory of frost. Instead, it is thick with the scent of maturing grasses, wildflowers, and the dusty, sweet aroma of the earth baking in the sunlight. Summer in the meadow is a time of slow, expansive days, where time seems to stretch out like the long shadows cast by the afternoon sun. It is a season that asks for little and provides much, allowing the herd to settle into a rhythm of deep, sun-drenched contentment. The warmth of the season changes the way the herd interacts with their environment. The open spaces, which were so inviting during the cool mornings of spring, now become places to be navigated with care. During the midday peak, when the sun is a heavy, golden weight overhead, the cows seek the refuge of the woodlands. The transition is a communal migration. They move in a slow, winding line toward the deep shade of the trees. The forest edge becomes a sanctuary, a place where the air is cool and still, and the leaves overhead filter the harsh light into a mosaic of dancing patterns on the ground. Here, in the quiet dimness, they spend hours standing close together, the gentle movement of their tails creating a soft, rhythmic hum that lulls the senses. Within this summer heat, relationships within the herd deepen. The bonds between the cows are most visible during these long, inactive hours. You will often see them grooming one another, a slow, careful licking of the neck or shoulder, a gesture of affection that reinforces their social ties. This is a time of quiet intimacy. They stand nose to tail, each providing a shield against the flies for the other, a small, silent pact of mutual care. These are the moments when the social hierarchy is softened by the heat, replaced by a sense of common cause. They are a family in the truest sense, bound by the shared experience of the summer sun and the collective need for rest. Summer evenings are the highlight of the day. As the sun begins its slow, dramatic descent, the heat dissipates, replaced by a cool, refreshing breeze that sweeps across the pasture. The sky turns into a masterpiece of pinks, oranges, and deep, bruised purples. This is the golden hour, when the grass glows with an inner light and the entire meadow seems to hold its breath. The herd emerges from the shade to graze in the cooling air. The atmosphere is charged with a subtle, joyful energy. The cows move with more vigor, their coats glistening in the low light, their movements fluid and full of life. It is during these hours that the meadow feels most like a home, a place of safety and abundance where the day ends with a whisper of peace. Beneath the surface of this daily tranquility, the season brings a change in the air. The natural world is moving toward a new phase, and the herd senses it. There is an undercurrent of vitality, a shift in the way the cows hold their heads and the frequency with which they interact. The cycle of life is beginning to turn toward the season of renewal. You might notice the younger members of the herd becoming more assertive, or the older cows standing with a certain watchful dignity. The air carries the pheromones of change, a subtle, primal signal that the season of mating is drawing near. It is not a chaotic change, but a slow, inevitable progression, like the tides or the turning of the seasons themselves. The bull, a presence both imposing and calm, begins to take on a more prominent role in the group's consciousness. His presence is a stabilizing force, a reminder of the strength and endurance that resides within the herd's lineage. His interactions with the cows are marked by a quiet, measured intensity. It is a natural unfolding, devoid of the frantic energy found in other species. Instead, there is a patient, long-term focus. The cows continue their grazing, yet they are more aware of their surroundings, their ears twitching in response to the subtle shifts in the herd's dynamic. The meadow feels wider, deeper, and more significant during these days, as if the landscape itself is acknowledging the importance of this cycle. As the nights become warmer and the crickets begin their persistent, rhythmic singing, our cow finds herself more at peace than ever. She is a creature of the summer, her body well conditioned by the months of steady grazing, her mind anchored in the present. She does not worry about the coming autumn or the eventual return of the winter chill. She exists in the heat, in the scent of the drying grass, and in the comfort of her companions. The summer is a gift of energy, a time to build strength and store the vitality that will carry her through the future. She is at the peak of her physical being, a steady, graceful force in the heart of the pasture. The evening sky deepens into a velvet night, and the first stars appear, brilliant and cold against the darkness. The herd settles, a cluster of warm, breathing shapes in the moonlit field. There is a profound sense of continuity in their rest. They are doing what they have always done, what their ancestors did on these same plains thousands of years ago. They are the keepers of the meadow's peace. As the night wind whispers through the tall grass, our cow closes her eyes, the warmth of the day still lingering in her fur. She is part of a grand, natural design, a beautiful and ancient story that is being written one summer day at a time. The heat, the light, the companionship, and the silent, turning stars, all of it is exactly as it should be, a perfect reflection of a life lived in harmony with the wild, beautiful pulse of the earth. The transition of the season brings with it a subtle shift in the vibration of the meadow. The air, once heavy with the golden heat of high summer, now carries the promise of something new. This is the time when the natural urge for continuation begins to manifest, a quiet, ancient pull that guides the rhythm of the herd. It is not a sudden storm of activity, but a slow, steady emergence of intention. As the days begin to shorten, the environment feels filled with a new kind of vitality. The cows move with a different sense of purpose, their social interactions becoming more deliberate, their connections to one another more focused. This is the season of potential, the time when the circle of life begins to close and open at once. At the center of this transition stands the bull, whose role within the herd is to ensure the strength and future of the lineage. He is a creature of immense presence, possessing a quiet, heavy power that commands respect without the need for conflict. When he moves through the pasture, the herd adjusts to him in a dance of subtle awareness. He is the guardian of the season, his watchful eye scanning the horizon, his demeanor a blend of alertness and calm. He is the embodiment of the herd's continuity, his very presence serving as a bridge between the past and the future. The cows acknowledge him with grace, their own behavior reflecting the importance of the time. For our heroine, this period is marked by an internal shift. She is at the height of her maturity, her body strong and her instincts honed by years of living in harmony with the cycles of the earth. She feels the changing pheromones in the wind, the subtle chemical language that nature uses to communicate the arrival of the reproductive seasons. She does not experience this as a disruption, but rather as an awakening of a deep-seated biological truth. Her movements are thoughtful, her responses to the herd nuanced and careful. She remains grounded, finding peace in the familiar routine of grazing, even as the world around her seems to hum with a quiet, primal energy. The interaction between the members of the herd during this time is a study in natural etiquette. There is a profound sense of mutual respect that permeates their movements. They are engaged in a long-standing dance, a choreography of gestures and sounds that has been practiced for millennia. It is a slow, methodical process, devoid of unnecessary aggression. Instead, it is characterized by the quiet testing of bonds and the reinforcement of social structures. The cows are selective, their choices governed by a deep, evolutionary wisdom that seeks the healthiest and strongest path for the future. It is a process that prioritizes the stability of the group above all else. As the days turn into weeks, the cycle of life takes its course. The union that occurs in the meadow is a private, sacred act happening within the shelter of the tall, swaying grasses or under the soft shadows of the evening. It is performed with a natural dignity that mirrors the simplicity of their existence. There is no shame, no concealment, and no vanity, only the raw, beautiful necessity of life continuing. The herd watches, or perhaps they simply continue to graze, their rhythmic chewing serving as a grounding soundtrack to this vital event. It is a moment of total immersion in the physical world, a testament to the endurance of their kind. Once the season reaches its peak and the natural imperative has been satisfied, a change washes over the herd. The tension, however slight, dissipates, and a new, deeper sense of calm settles over the meadow. For our cow, a profound internal shift has occurred. She is carrying the promise of a new life, a tiny spark of existence that will slowly grow within the sanctuary of her own body. This realization, while perhaps not conscious in the way we understand it, manifests as a greater sense of peace. Her pace slows, her appetite becomes more intentional, and her connection to the earth feels more profound. She is no longer just an individual, she is a vessel for the future. The beginning of the pregnancy is a time of quiet waiting. The outward appearance of the herd does not change much. The days are still filled with the same grazing, the same rest, and the same quiet communication, but there is a new depth to the atmosphere. The other cows seem to sense the change in her. They are gentler, providing more space, their movements around her becoming more protective and patient. It is as if the entire herd understands that a precious future is being nurtured. This communal support is the hidden strength of the herd, a silent, caring awareness that ensures every member is cared for, especially when they are carrying the next generation. As the autumn air begins to crisp, our cow finds herself seeking the comfort of the group even more. She spends her afternoons in the warm patches of the field, her eyes fixed on the distant horizon, her body reflecting a new, steady grace. She is waiting, though she does not know what she is waiting for. It is an instinctual patience, a slow unfolding of days that are now tied to the rhythm of the new life growing within her. The meadow, with its golden fields and cooling breezes, becomes a nursery, a safe haven where the future is protected by the strength and unity of the herd. In this season of transition, we see the true beauty of her existence. She is a link in an eternal chain, a protector of the legacy that stretches back to the wild ancestors of the past. Her life, which seemed simple and perhaps even mundane, is revealed to be a magnificent journey of purpose. She is part of the great turning wheel of nature, a participant in the miracle of life that continues despite the passing of time, the changes in the seasons, and the turning of the earth. She is at peace, she is strong, and she is ready for whatever the future may bring, her heart beating in perfect time with the quiet, persistent pulse of the world around her. As the sun sets on another day, she stands in the meadow, a figure of strength and grace, carrying the dawn of a new life in her quiet, steady heart. The months that follow are a quiet, transformative journey, a slow-motion passage of time that mirrors the turning of the seasons. For our cow, pregnancy is not a hardship, but a natural state of being, a process that integrates seamlessly into her daily life. As the vibrant greens of summer yield to the amber and russet tones of autumn, her body subtly begins to change. A gradual rounding that reflects the new life she carries within. She moves with a slightly more deliberate gait, her steps measured and careful. There is a new gravity to her presence, a protective aura that the rest of the herd seems to acknowledge. They do not treat her differently in a way that is overt. Yet there is a distinct shift in the social rhythm. The others often drift closer to her, creating a supportive boundary that buffers her from the restlessness of the younger calves or the sudden movements of the field. The physical changes are accompanied by an internal deepening of her instincts. Her focus becomes more singular, her attention to the quality of the grazing more refined. She seeks out the most nutrient-dense patches of clover and the cleanest, coolest springs. It is as if her body knows exactly what it needs to nourish the life growing inside. She spends longer hours in a state of quiet reflection, lying in the sun-warmed grass, her eyes half closed, her breath deep and slow. These are not merely moments of digestion, they are moments of communion with the spark of life that has become the center of her universe. In the stillness, she seems to be listening to a silent song, a rhythm that only she and the tiny life within her can hear. The herd, too, settles into a supportive rhythm as the cold of late autumn begins to bite at the edges of the day. The social ties are reinforced. They stand closer together at night, their collective heat providing a shelter against the plummeting temperatures. There is a shared sense of guardianship. When she grazes, she is rarely at the periphery. She is always tucked safely into the center of the group, surrounded by the sturdy, familiar shapes of her companions. This is the herd at its finest, a unified organism of care and protection. The bull, ever watchful, moves with a more subdued dignity, his presence a stabilizing anchor that ensures the environment remains secure for the mother-to-be. As winter settles over the meadow, turning the world into a landscape of stark, monochromatic beauty. The life within her continues its steady, miraculous growth. The freezing wind whistles through the bare branches of the oak trees, and the ground hardens into a frost-covered crust. Yet our cow remains steadfast. She finds strength in the routine. Even in the depths of the coldest months, she rises with the dawn, her breath curling into the frigid air, and follows the herd to the sheltered southern slopes where the sun lingers the longest. She is a creature of immense endurance, her spirit untroubled by the harshness of the weather because she is held within the warmth of the herd's circle. Winter, in this context, is not a time of scarcity, but a time of intentional conservation. She grazes on the hay provided, or the hardy, dried grasses that poke through the snow, her body working with quiet, relentless efficiency to maintain her health and the health of her calf. There is a profound honesty to this season. Everything is stripped away. There is no vanity, no superfluous motion, only the simple, noble act of surviving and nurturing. She carries the future through the cold, a silent promise that when the warmth returns, life will bloom once more. This is the ultimate expression of faith in the cycle of nature, the belief that the winter is only a pause, not an end. The nights are long and quiet, filled with the deep, resonant sounds of the herd shifting their weight and the soft, steady breathing of the group. In these dark hours, she often finds herself in a light, waking rest, her ears twitching at the sound of a distant owl or the cracking of ice on the nearby stream. She feels the movement within her, a tiny flutter that sends a ripple of awareness through her entire being. It is a reminder that she is never truly alone. The anticipation is not a frantic, human-like worry, but a grounded, steady state of readiness. She is preparing for the transition, her body slowly adjusting to the impending change, her mind aligning with the ancient, unerring guidance of her ancestors. As the weeks progress, the signs of the approaching birth begin to manifest. The landscape starts to shift again, the frost loses its iron grip, and the first hints of a thawing earth appear. The scent of the air changes, losing its metallic, frozen edge and taking on the damp, earthy fragrance of early spring. With this thaw, the herd's energy lifts. There is a sense of impending arrival that ripples through the group. Our cow becomes more observant, scanning the edges of the meadow for a quiet, secluded spot. She is looking for the sanctuary, the private place where she can welcome her calf into the world. Her instincts are pulling her toward the protected, grassy hollows that will offer both shelter and comfort. One night, as the full moon casts a silver glow over the silent fields, the atmosphere feels charged with a different kind of intensity. The air is still, the wind has died down, and the herd is unusually quiet. She senses that the time is near. She moves slowly, with a deliberate, heavy grace, toward the edge of the wood, her movements guided by a force as old as the earth itself. She is not afraid. She trusts the process, and she trusts the strength she has cultivated over the long, cold winter. She finds a perfect, hidden hollow, shielded from the breeze, where the grass is soft and the ground is dry. She settles into the spot, her body sinking into the earth, her breathing becoming rhythmic and focused. Around her, the world is waiting. The stars watch from above, the trees stand as silent witnesses, and the herd keeps its watchful, protective distance. It is a moment of profound, sacred silence. She is about to close the chapter of the long wait and open the door to a new beginning. The winter is fading, the spring is knocking at the gate, and within the sanctuary of the night, the promise of life is about to be fulfilled. She is ready, anchored in her strength, a mother prepared to welcome the future. The moment of birth is a quiet miracle, unfolding under the soft, watchful gaze of the moon. In the sheltered hollow she has chosen, our cow is entirely focused, her body working with a rhythmic, instinctual power. There is no fear, only a profound, grounded awareness that the time has come to bring forth the new life she has nurtured through the long, cold winter. As the first light of dawn begins to paint the eastern horizon in pale, hopeful shades of violet and gold, the transition reaches its culmination. With a gentle, focused effort, she welcomes her calf into the world, a small, damp, shivering creature that represents the continuation of her own story. The first few minutes are a delicate, sacred ritual. She does not wait. She turns immediately to her newborn, her tongue moving with steady, insistent purpose. She cleans the calf, removing the veil of birth and stimulating its lungs with the warmth of her breath and the rough, loving texture of her tongue. This is her first lesson in motherhood: to nurture, to protect, to initiate. The calf, initially still, begins to shudder, its small chest rising and falling in rapid, shallow breaths. Then, a soft, bleating sound breaks the morning silence, a fragile, high-pitched note that marks the beginning of its existence in the open air. It is a sound of pure, raw vitality. The calf's attempts to stand are a study in determination and the inherent wisdom of the animal kingdom. Its long, spindly legs wobble beneath it, buckling and sliding on the soft grass. Each failure is met with a nudge from the mother, her voice low and reassuring. She stands over it, a massive, comforting presence, providing both shade and stability. She encourages it not with force, but with patience. She knows that the strength must come from within the calf, and she waits with a calm, unwavering belief in its ability to rise. After several persistent efforts, the calf finds its balance. Its legs lock into place, trembling but upright, and it takes its first unsteady step toward the warmth of its mother's side. This is the moment of nursing, the life-giving connection that bonds them instantly and irrevocably. The calf finds the source of warmth and sustenance, and as it begins to drink, the world feels as if it has aligned into a perfect, harmonious order. The mother stands still, her eyes half closed, a look of profound, quiet satisfaction on her face. The bond is sealed. The calf is no longer a separate, struggling entity. It is now a part of her, a continuation of her heartbeat. The morning sun finally clears the horizon, spilling its warmth across the hollow and turning the dew on the calf's coat into a shimmering, magical dust. Throughout the morning, the rest of the herd begins to gather at a respectful distance. They do not crowd, they wait, standing in a protective perimeter, their presence a silent validation of the new life. The mother acknowledges them with a soft, low vocalization, a signal of her pride in her continued membership in the group. The social fabric of the herd is strengthened by this arrival. They are not just individuals grazing in a field, but a family unit that grows and renews itself. The calf, sensing the presence of the others, stays close to its mother, observing the world with large, curious, dark eyes that seem to hold the reflection of the entire meadow. As the day warms, the calf ventures a few steps further, its movements becoming slightly more coordinated. It explores the immediate surroundings of the hollow, sniffing at the wildflowers and testing the texture of the soil. The mother follows its every move, her head low, her posture relaxed yet always ready to intervene. She is teaching it the most important lesson of all: how to move within the space it occupies. Every nudge she gives is a guide. Every soft call is a command for closeness. The calf is learning the language of the meadow, and its mother is its only and most vital teacher. By midday, the calf is tired, its small body exhausted by the effort of discovery. It collapses back into the tall, soft grass, its eyes drooping as it drifts into a deep, dreamless sleep. The mother takes this opportunity to graze nearby, never letting the calf out of her sight. She eats with a calm efficiency, her mind clearly occupied by the rhythm of her child's breathing. This is a day unlike any other she has known, a day defined by the miraculous shift from carrying the future to watching it unfold before her eyes. The meadow, which she has walked for years, suddenly feels like a new place, seen through the innocent, wide-eyed wonder of her offspring. As the sun begins its slow descent, the air turns crisp once more, signaling the approach of the evening. The calf wakes, hungry and eager, and approaches its mother for another session of nursing. The golden light of the sunset wraps around them, casting long, soft shadows that make them appear like a single, solid monument of peace. This is the first sunset of the calf's life, a quiet ending to a day of monumental transformation. The sky turns to a deep, beautiful orange, and the stars begin to flicker overhead, appearing as pinpricks of light in the vast, darkening dome. The mother stands quietly, looking out over the meadow. She feels the weight of her responsibilities, but it is not a burden. It is a source of strength. She has passed the test of the winter. She has navigated the long wait, and she has fulfilled her promise to the herd and the future. The calf, now full and warm, rests comfortably against her flank, the heat of its small body a constant reminder of the gift she has been given. They are perfectly content in the silence of the evening. In the distance, the herd is settling down for the night, their shapes merging into the dark landscape. A soft, low moo echoes across the valley, a greeting, a song of belonging, a celebration of life. The calf responds with a tiny, sleepy bleat, a sound so soft it is almost lost in the wind. The mother lowers her head and nudges the calf gently, an act of silent, enduring love. The day concludes not with a finality, but with a beginning. They are safe, they are together, and the cycle of the meadow continues, as steady and sure as the rising and setting of the sun. The world is at peace, and for the mother and her calf, the long, beautiful journey of life has officially begun. The weeks that follow the birth are a period of quiet, intensive education. For the calf, the meadow is no longer just a place of grass and light. It is a complex sensory world that must be decoded. Every day, beneath the watchful eye of its mother, the calf learns the geography of its home. It learns that the morning dew makes the ground slippery, that the shade of the oak trees provides a different kind of coolness than the breeze in the open field, and that the herd is a source of absolute safety. The mother is a constant guiding presence, her body serving as a mobile sanctuary. She moves slowly, allowing the calf to find its rhythm, and she stops often, letting the young one explore the textures of the tall, swaying grasses with its curious, velvety nose. Learning to walk with confidence is the first great challenge. The calf's movements are initially clumsy, characterized by sudden, joyful leaps and the occasional stumble that lands it in a pile of daisies. Yet, with each passing day, those movements become smoother, more deliberate. It begins to mirror its mother's gait, mimicking the way she shifts her weight and the path she chooses through the meadow. There is a profound beauty in this imitation. It is the physical expression of a bond that is deepening with every hour. The calf is not just learning to move, it is learning to be a cow. It watches how she interacts with the other herd members, observing the subtle head movements and the quiet vocalizations that form the social fabric of their community. The first grazing attempts are equally enchanting to witness. The calf, driven by a natural instinct, begins to mouth the blades of grass, pulling at them with the same earnestness as the adults. It is a messy, imprecise effort, but the mother watches with a gentle, encouraging gaze. She does not rush it. She knows that the transition from milk to grass is a process of internal change as much as physical practice. Occasionally, the calf will wander too far, distracted by a fluttering butterfly or a patch of clover that seems particularly inviting. A single, short, low sound from the mother is all it takes to bring the calf back. There is no anxiety in this guidance, only the steady, calm assurance of a teacher who knows exactly where her student needs to be. Introducing the calf to the wider herd is a delicate social ritual. As they slowly integrate into the group, the calf is greeted with curiosity. The other cows approach, sniffing the newcomer, their warm breath and low, rumbled greetings creating a circle of welcome. The calf initially shrinks back toward its mother's side, but soon realizes that these massive, gentle creatures are its extended family. It begins to recognize individual personalities, the auntie who always grazes near the stream, the elder who moves with such slow, impressive dignity. This socialization is essential. The calf is learning that its world is larger than the single bond with its mother. It is learning the meaning of community, the feeling of being part of a collective that looks out for one another. Play is the calf's primary way of testing its limits. In the cool of the late afternoon, when the sun loses its intensity, the calf often succumbs to sudden bursts of energy. It kicks up its heels, darts through the herd, and circles its mother in dizzying patterns of joy. These moments of play are vital for developing muscle coordination and social confidence. The other calves in the herd often join in, creating a small, galloping group that brings a fleeting, spirited energy to the otherwise calm pasture. The mother watches these games with a quiet, maternal pride, her head held high, her posture relaxed. She knows that play is the work of youth, a way of preparing for the long, steady years of maturity that lie ahead. Alongside the joy of growth, the calf is also learning the necessary skill of caution. The meadow, while peaceful, is a place where one must always remain observant. The mother teaches this not through lectures, but through presence. When she lifts her head suddenly to scan the horizon, the calf learns to pause and look, too. When she shifts her position because the wind has changed, the calf learns to be sensitive to the air. It is learning to balance its natural curiosity with a healthy respect for the environment. This is the foundation of its independence, the knowledge that it can explore, but that it must always be aware of the world that surrounds it. The process of learning also involves understanding the rhythms of the day. The calf is beginning to adopt the same schedule as the herd: the early morning grazing, the midday rest, the social grooming in the shade, and the quiet evening feeding. It is absorbing the timeline of its life through its own skin. It feels the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the twilight, and the deep, communal peace of the midnight rest. The meadow is no longer just a backdrop. It is a cycle that the calf is now rhythmically synchronized with. It is becoming a functional, harmonious part of the landscape. As the weeks turn into months, the calf's dependence on its mother's milk begins to shift toward a reliance on the meadow itself. This is the subtle beginning of its independence. The mother encourages this, guiding the calf toward the best forage and teaching it which plants are the most nourishing. It is a slow, weaning process that is handled with remarkable grace. There is no force, only a gentle redirection toward the riches of the earth. The calf is becoming stronger, its frame filling out, its movements showing the first flickers of the endurance that defines the adult cow. Watching this development, one is struck by the timelessness of the scene. This is how it has been for thousands of years, and this is how it will continue to be. The mother and the calf are a living reflection of nature's continuity. Every lesson learned, every patch of grass discovered, and every moment of play is a step toward the future. The calf is no longer the shivering, fragile creature of that first dawn. It is becoming a confident member of the herd. As the sun sets on another day of growth, the calf lies down next to its mother in the tall, soft grass. Its belly is full, its mind is tired from the wonders of discovery, and and its heart is calm. It rests its head against her flank, feeling the steady, rhythmic beat of her heart, the same heart that has kept it safe from the moment of its first breath. The world is large, full of secrets, and waiting to be explored. But for now, there is only the safety of this moment. They are together, surrounded by the sleeping herd and the quiet, whispering meadow, and the cycle of life continues to turn, as steady and sure as the stars beginning to shimmer in the velvet sky above. The arrival of autumn brings a distinct change to the texture of the meadow. The air, once laden with the thick, buzzing heat of midsummer, now carries a crispness that stirs the senses and prepares the land for the coming cycle of rest. For the young calf, who has spent the spring and summer absorbing the lessons of the pasture, this season marks the transition from childhood into the first stages of maturity. The world is changing colors, shifting from vibrant greens to a rich, warm tapestry of copper, gold, and deep, burnt umber. This is the autumn of maturity, a time when the calf's body begins to fill out, its movements shedding the awkwardness of infancy and replacing it with the beginnings of a graceful, steady power. His physical growth is now rapid and evident. The calf is taller, his hide thickening to prepare for the approaching cold, and his hooves have hardened, becoming better adapted to the firmer, cooling earth. He no longer follows his mother with the frantic, wide-eyed attention of a newborn. Instead, he walks alongside her with a quiet, observant confidence. He has learned the secret of the herd, that survival is not found in speed, but in the measured, rhythmic endurance of their collective life. He understands the layout of the pasture, the way the wind behaves as it moves through the valley, and the precise times of day when the clover is at its sweetest. His childhood, defined by play and exploration, is naturally unfolding into a life defined by presence and awareness. Socially, he is finding his place. While he still enjoys the company of the other calves, he has begun to spend more time observing the adults. He notices how they position themselves against the wind, how they choose their resting spots, and how they interact with the changing environment. He's no longer just a spectator. He is beginning to participate in the group's decision-making process. When the herd moves to the shelter of the woods during a blustery afternoon, he moves with them not because he is following his mother, but because he recognizes the wisdom of the collective action. This shift from blind reliance to intuitive understanding is the true hallmark of his growing independence. The meadow, too, is preparing for the winter. The grass has become drier, tougher, and less plentiful, forcing the herd to roam a bit further in their daily search for forage. This is a time of discipline. The calf learns that nourishment is not always handed to him in abundance. Sometimes he must work for it, seeking out the sheltered pockets of land where the sun still hits and the grass remains greenest. This shift in the landscape is a crucial lesson. It teaches him the rhythm of scarcity and plenty, a cycle that defines the very essence of their wild domesticated existence. He is learning to appreciate the value of a steady meal and the importance of conserving energy for the long months ahead. His mother, meanwhile, has taken on a more detached, yet deeply supportive role. She allows him more room to maneuver, watching him from a distance as he grazes among the older members of the herd. This subtle encouragement of independence is a gift of love. She is preparing him for the life of an adult, where he will need to rely on his own instincts and his own judgment. Their bond remains strong, but it is changing in form. It is less about constant supervision and more about a shared, unspoken companionship. When they graze side by side in the evening light, there is a sense of mutual respect between them, the teacher and the student, the mother and the maturing member of the community. The weather during this season is a powerful educator. A sudden, sharp frost in the early morning forces the calf to seek warmth in the huddling of the group. He experiences the biting wind for the first time, realizing that the comfort of summer is fleeting and that the world is capable of turning harsh and cold. Yet, he is not afraid. He has seen the adults navigate the seasons with such calm certainty that he absorbs their composure. If they are not worried, then he is not worried. He learns that the cold is just another part of the rhythm, a challenge that can be met with the right preparation and the collective warmth of the herd. Autumn nights are long and filled with the music of the coming winter, the rustle of falling leaves, the whistling of the wind in the skeletal branches of the trees, and the occasional, distant sound of migratory birds moving south. The calf often wakes in the middle of the night, standing tall in the moonlight, his ears swiveling to catch the myriad sounds of the field. He feels the strength in his own limbs, the power of his growing lungs, and the sharpness of his senses. There is a quiet, intense joy in this realization, the knowledge that he is becoming one of the herd, a sturdy and reliable member of their ancient, noble line. As the season wanes, the landscape begins to lose its richness. Yet there is a deep, tranquil beauty in this stripping away. The meadow is turning inward, preparing for its deep winter sleep. The calf, mirroring this process, begins to settle into a more introspective state. He is no longer searching for the excitement of new discoveries. He is content with the familiar rhythms of the pasture. He understands his role. He understands the geography, and he understands the herd. He is approaching the end of his childhood, ready to face the turning of the calendar with the quiet, unshakable confidence of an animal that knows its place in the world. Looking at him, one sees a creature of the earth, a being that is profoundly at peace with his surroundings. The innocence of his first days has been replaced by a grounded, resilient wisdom. He is a young adult now, defined by his ability to endure, to observe, and to belong. The lessons of the spring and the heat of the summer have built a foundation of character that will serve him for the rest of his life. He is prepared. He is strong. He is ready for the winter. As the final, crisp leaves fall to the ground and the meadow prepares for the first snowfall, our young cow stands at the edge of the woodland, watching the horizon. The herd is nearby, their breath hitching in the cold air, their presence a comforting and permanent fixture. He takes a long, slow breath, tasting the sharp, clear scent of the approaching winter. There is no urgency in his heart, only a quiet, steady anticipation. He has crossed the threshold from the dependent life of a calf to the self-reliant life of a growing member of the community. The sun sets, painting the sky in shades of violet and gray, and for the first time, he feels the weight of the coming cold, not as a threat, but as a challenge he is ready to meet. The cycle of his life is continuing, and he is walking forward into the future, one strong, steady step at a time. The transition into independence is not a sudden severance, but a gradual unfolding of autonomy. For our young companion, the approach of his first winter marks the final phase of his childhood. He has grown tall, his frame is sturdy, and his instincts have been sharpened by the seasonal rhythms he has observed. Now, he finds himself standing at the threshold of a new life within the herd. The reliance on his mother, once absolute, has shifted into a companionship between two mature beings. He no longer follows her every movement as a guide. Instead, he walks alongside her as an equal, a participant in the collective wisdom of the group. This new sense of self is a quiet, powerful realization that settles into his bones as the days grow shorter and the air turns brittle with the first warnings of ice. Finding his place within the hierarchy of the herd is a subtle, ongoing process. He discovers that he must earn his space, not through confrontation, but through the calm assertion of his presence. He learns that there is a proper distance to maintain while grazing, a way to signal respect to the elders, and a time to lead. and a time to follow. He watches the older bulls and the seasoned cows, absorbing their demeanor, the way they tilt their heads to dismiss a pestering fly, the way they hold their ground when the wind grows fierce. He's no longer just the calf, he's a developing individual, a member of the social fabric whose presence is recognized and respected by his peers. This transition is a lesson in responsibility. He realizes that his choices, where he chooses to graze, when he chooses to rest, now have a subtle weight, contributing to the overall stability of the group. The first winter is the true test of this burgeoning independence. It is a season that strips the meadow of its abundance, forcing the herd to rely on their resilience and the internal maps they carry within them. For our young bull, the cold is a teacher of profound patience. He learns the art of seeking warmth in the lee of a hill, the value of huddling in the communal mass of the herd during the darkest, windiest nights, and the quiet satisfaction of finding hay beneath a layer of frost. There is no luxury in winter, only the bare essentials of survival. Yet, he finds a deep, hidden beauty in this, a sense of shared purpose that binds the herd together in the face of the elements. He experiences the communal huddle, the warmth of the bodies pressing against his own. And he understands, at a level deeper than thought, that they are the only reason he is safe. Survival is not about fighting the winter, it is about harmonizing with it. He learns to move slowly to conserve his energy, to lower his metabolic pace, and to find contentment in the simple act of standing in the winter sun when it briefly breaks through the clouds. He watches the way the earth sleeps, the way the trees stand as silent sentinels, and he adopts a similar state of steady, watchful calm. This is the patience he has been building toward. He no longer feels the restless energy of spring or the playful curiosity of summer. He is grounded in the present, focused entirely on the endurance required to see the next blade of grass emerge from the thawing soil. It is a meditative, stripped-down existence that defines the true nature of his spirit. During these long, freezing nights, he often reflects on his place in the wider world. He is a part of something that stretches far beyond this pasture. He is a member of an ancient lineage, a living echo of the wild ancestors who once braved these very landscapes long before the first human fires were lit. This connection provides him with a sense of quiet confidence. The winter may be harsh, but he is built for it. His coat is thick and insulating, his digestion is steady, and his heart is strong. He is designed to last. This knowledge allows him to navigate this season with a lack of fear that is almost profound. He is exactly where he is meant to be, a sturdy, living piece of the winter landscape. As the season reaches its deepest point, the herd becomes a silent, moving mountain of fur and warmth. Our young friend is no longer on the periphery. He is nestled in the heart of the group. He feels the vibrations of their movements, the deep, rumbling sounds of their breathing, and the reassuring scent of their presence. He has come to understand that independence does not mean being alone. It means being self-reliant while remaining part of a greater whole. He is a singular being, yes, but his strength is inextricably linked to the strength of his companions. This realization marks the completion of his growth into maturity. He has learned that true independence is the ability to stand tall on one's own while holding space for others. The final weeks of winter are often the most grueling, but they are also the most beautiful. The world is sharp, clear, and unyielding. Every sound carries for miles: the snapping of a frozen twig, the distant cry of a hawk, the heavy thud of a hoof on hard ground. Our young cow is hyper-aware. He listens to the changing pitch of the wind, recognizing the subtle shift that warns of a storm, and he watches the sky for the deepening of the clouds. He is a guardian of his own well-being now. The lessons of the past months have been forged into a reliable instinct that guides his every action. He is no longer a child being led, he is a participant leading himself. As the first faint, hopeful signals of the thaw begin to emerge, a dripping icicle, a patch of brown earth emerging through the snow, the return of a songbird, he feels a ripple of renewed vitality. He has made it. The winter has not diminished him, it has tempered him. He is more solid, more aware, and more connected to the earth than he was when the first frost fell. He stands at the edge of the pasture, looking out at the thawing world, his head held with the quiet, noble grace of an adult. He has navigated the cold, he has honored his place in the herd, and he is ready for the cycle to begin anew. The spring will come, and with it, the return of the green bounty of the meadow. He will meet it as a fully realized individual, a young bull who has successfully made the transition from the vulnerability of youth to the stability of maturity. He is a testament to the endurance of his kind. As the sun rises, casting a long, golden light over the melting ice, he takes a slow, deep breath of the damp, awakening air. He is ready. He is strong. He is standing on his own, yet he is never truly separate from the group that raised him. The winter is over, the transition is complete, and a new, promising life awaits. The arrival of spring is not merely a change in the weather, it is a profound resurrection. As the final vestiges of the winter frost retreat into the warming soil, the meadow begins to pulse with a renewed, verdant energy. For our hero, who has now weathered his first full cycle of the earth, this return of spring feels like a personal victory. He is no longer the calf who stumbled through the daisies, nor the unsure adolescent finding his footing in the cold. He has emerged as a fully mature, steady, and capable member of the herd. His body is powerful. His senses are tuned to the slightest frequency of the environment, and his spirit is deeply synchronized with the pulse of the pasture. The return of the fresh, sweet grass is a reward for his patience, a taste of life renewed that he welcomes with a quiet, grounded satisfaction. He moves through the spring meadow with a newfound authority. His stride is long, fluid, and silent, the walk of a creature that belongs entirely to the landscape. When he pauses to graze, he does so with purpose, selecting the most vibrant patches of green that have fought their way through the thawing earth. There is a sense of completion in his movements, the lessons he learned during his long, cold winter, the value of conservation, the importance of communal warmth, the necessity of patience, are now woven into the very fabric of his being. He is no longer learning how to live, he is simply living, a testament to the endurance of his line. The life of the herd itself has shifted into the vibrant tempo of a new season. The atmosphere is filled with the sounds of renewal, the soft calls of mothers to their new calves, the playful, erratic energy of the young ones bounding across the slopes, and the constant, low-frequency hum of a thriving community. Our hero finds himself in a position of quiet responsibility. Younger ones watch him as he moves, and he often finds himself standing as a buffer between the vulnerable and the edges of the field. He does not seek this role, yet he occupies it naturally. It is the role of the mature, the steady, and the reliable, a pillar of the social structure that keeps the herd secure and balanced. This season of renewal brings a sense of deep, reflective peace. As he grazes, he often lifts his head to watch the horizon, his large, dark eyes absorbing the expansive view of the valley. He remembers the cold, and in remembering, he appreciates the warmth of the sun with a greater depth of feeling. He is aware of the passage of time, not in terms of hours or days, but in the unfolding of the seasons. He has seen the world turn from green to brown and back to green again, and this realization gives him a sense of permanence. He is a part of the meadow, an essential thread in the vast, ancient tapestry of the landscape. The relationships he has built are now the foundation of his happiness. He spends his days in close proximity to those who have walked the path beside him, their bonds forged in the shared experience of the harsh winter. There is a profound silence in their communication. A simple inclination of the head or a gentle nudge of a nose says everything that needs to be said. They understand each other without effort. This is the luxury of his maturity, the ability to exist in a state of constant, unspoken understanding. He is truly never alone, for the herd is a living, breathing extension of his own self. Spring also brings the return of the life cycle's most vibrant expression, the birth of new calves. Watching the cycle repeat, he experiences a strange, beautiful resonance. He sees the same fragility he once possessed in the new generation, and he feels a protective instinct flare within him. He is no longer the one being protected. He is now a protector. This shift in perspective is the final piece of his maturation. He recognizes his duty to the future of the herd. He stands as a sentinel, his massive, sturdy form a silhouette of safety against the bright, blossoming landscape. He is the guardian of the peace he was once granted as a gift. There is a rhythm to his days that is almost musical, a steady, repetitive beauty that never loses its charm. The sunrise, the morning grazing, the midday rest, the social grooming, the evening light, these are the notes of his life, and he plays them with the confidence of a master. He no longer worries about the what-ifs. He trusts the meadow, he trusts the herd, and most importantly, he trusts his own ability to navigate whatever the seasons bring. This trust is the ultimate form of peace. It is the peace of a creature that has been tested and found solid, a being that knows its place and is entirely satisfied with it. As the sun climbs higher, warming the air until the scent of crushed clover is heavy and sweet, he finds a place to rest in the long, soft grass. He lowers himself with a heavy, satisfying grace, his legs tucked beneath him, his breathing deep and slow. The herd is scattered around him, a mosaic of peace in the vast green field. He closes his eyes, feeling the gentle touch of the breeze against his fur and the comforting presence of his companions. He is at the center of the world, exactly where he is meant to be. The passing years are no longer a concern. They are simply an accumulation of beauty, a sequence of sunrises and sunsets that add to the wisdom he carries. He is in the prime of his life, strong, vital, and deeply connected to the earth. The spring is a celebration of the state of being. It is a time to breathe in the possibilities of the new year, to enjoy the richness of the soil, and to appreciate the simple, elegant grace of a life lived in accordance with the laws of nature. As the day turns into the quiet, violet light of dusk, he remains at rest, a content, powerful figure in the heart of the pasture. The meadow is alive with the hum of the coming night. The stars are beginning their nightly vigil, and the world feels perfectly aligned. He has moved from a calf to an adult, from a learner to a guide, and from a child of the herd to one of its pillars. The cycle continues. The earth turns, and he is a part of it, a steady, peaceful force in a world of infinite wonder. The spring has returned, and with it, the promise of another year of quiet, majestic life. The wheel of the seasons has turned once more, and our hero, now a mature pillar of the herd, watches as the meadows prepare for the miracle of new life. But this time, the perspective is different. He is no longer just a member of the collective. He is now a witness to the profound, transformative journey of the females in his circle as they prepare to welcome the next generation. The atmosphere in the pasture is thick with a gentle, focused energy. When he moves, he does so with a heightened sense of awareness, his movements slower and more deliberate, as if he understands that the meadow is currently a sanctuary for mothers and their newborns. He walks with a quiet, protective grace, his role shifting into that of a guardian, watching over the small, wobbly lives that have begun to dot the green landscape like wildflowers. For the female who has become the mother to the latest addition, the journey is one of silent, intense devotion. Watching her, our hero sees the familiar patterns of the cycle re-emerging, the quiet withdrawal to a secluded spot, the instinctual cleaning of the newborn, and the patient waiting for the calf to find its footing. He observes from a respectful distance, his ears flicking in response to the high-pitched, fragile sounds of the calf's first bleats. There is a deep, unspoken language of respect here. The herd respects the mother's need for space, and she, in turn, finds strength in the knowledge that her protectors, our hero included, are patrolling the perimeter, ensuring the meadow remains a place of peace. The bond between a mother and her calf is the most foundational element of their world, and he has come to understand that this bond is the true engine of the herd's survival. He sees the mother teaching the calf the rhythm of the pasture, just as he was once taught. He sees the calf's curiosity being tempered by her caution, and he sees the way the mother's body becomes a living shield, always positioning herself between the calf and the slightest suggestion of a disturbance. It is a lesson in selfless love, a devotion that asks for nothing but the survival and growth of the young. He stands as a silent witness, his presence a reinforcing layer of security that allows the mother to focus entirely on her child. As the calf grows, the education continues, mirroring the path our hero once traveled. He watches the mother encourage the calf to graze, guiding it to the most tender sprigs of grass. He watches as she disciplines it with a gentle nudge, a correction that is as much about teaching as it is about protection. There is a rhythmic perfection to their interaction, a constant flow of tactile and vocal communication that ensures the calf is never lost or overwhelmed. When the calf grows tired and falls into the deep, abandoned sleep of youth, the mother remains alert, a steady statue of vigil in the evening light. This is the heart of the herd, a beautiful, repeating loop of life that ensures the future is always protected by the strength of the present. The weaning process is another transition he watches with interest. It is a slow, gradual distancing, a necessary shedding of the dependency of infancy. He notices how the mother begins to encourage the calf to seek sustenance from the field, leading it further from her side and toward the bounty of the meadow. It is a bittersweet evolution, one that marks the calf's growth from a protected infant into a young member of the community. He sees the calf's initial resistance, the way it nudges its mother for the comfort of the old ways, and he sees her gentle, persistent refusal. She is nudging it toward its own life, toward the autonomy that every member of the herd must eventually claim. By participating in this cycle as an observer, our hero finds his own maturity deepened. He is no longer just existing in the meadow, he is actively contributing to the stability of the social order. He understands that his calm presence is the backdrop against which these new lives flourish. When he stands near the mother and calf, his very stillness signals to them that the environment is secure. He feels a quiet, profound sense of fulfillment. He's no longer the one needing the protection. He is the one providing it. This shift is the completion of his personal cycle, the moment when the student truly becomes the teacher, and the child of the herd becomes one of its protectors. The meadow itself seems to recognize this period of motherhood. The grass grows long and protective, the woodlands offer deep, quiet shade, and the water in the stream runs clear and cool. The entire ecosystem seems to bend its will toward the success of these new lives. And as the days grow warmer and the summer sun hits its stride, he spends his time observing the way the calves begin to form their own bonds.
They are creating a new generation of friends, the playgroup that will carry the social memories of the herd into the future. He watches them, a flicker of something ancient and deep stirring within him, a sense of satisfaction that the line remains unbroken.
This stage of his life is characterized by a quiet motherhood of sorts, even for the males. It is a protective, nurturing, and watchful existence. He is a part of the greater organism, the herd, and the success of the mothers is his own success. When the summer evenings arrive, and the entire group rests in the long, violet shadows of the dusk, he takes his place among them with a heart that is entirely at peace. The calves are sleeping, the mothers are ruminating in quiet contentment, and the protectors are standing guard, their shadows long and calm against the darkening grass. There is a lesson here, one that he embodies with every breath. The strength of the individual is magnified by the strength of the community. Every calf that survives, every mother that finds rest, and every protector that stands firm adds to the durability of their existence. It is a collective effort, a shared survival that transcends the life of any single animal. As he stands there, his massive form silhouetted against the rising moon, he feels a profound connection to the generations that preceded him and those that will follow. He is a link in a golden chain. The night deepens, the crickets begin their pulsing, rhythmic song, and the meadow settles into its nightly tranquility. He rests his head for a moment, his eyes scanning the peaceful group, ensuring that all is well. He is satisfied. The cycle is in motion. The mothers are caring, and the herd is unified. As he closes his eyes, he feels the steady, reassuring heartbeat of the collective. This is life, he seems to understand. A beautiful, fragile, and resilient existence that is sustained by the quiet, tireless work of care. And in the heart of the pasture, beneath the vast silent sky, he drifts into a rest that is as deep and restorative as the meadow itself, a protector in a world of gentle, unfolding miracles. The passage of time in the meadow is written not in clocks, but in the subtle fading of a coat's luster and the slow, deliberate change in the pace of a life. Our hero, having stood as a pillar of the herd for many seasons, now enters the autumn of his own existence. These are the years of wisdom, a phase defined not by the frantic energy of youth or the protective fervor of the breeding years, but by a deep, expansive calm. His movements, once marked by a youthful, spirited gait, are now slow and carefully measured. Every shift of his weight is purposeful, an economy of motion that speaks to a body that has navigated many winters and survived many cycles of the sun. He is a senior member of the community now, his presence carrying the quiet authority of one who has seen the world turn full circle many times over. Signs of his advancing age are etched into the landscape of his form. His gait has a slight, rhythmic stiffness, a reminder of the thousands of miles he has paced across the pasture. And his eyes, though still clear and watchful, are surrounded by the softening lines of experience. He no longer feels the need to compete for the choicest patches of clover. Instead, he drifts to the quieter, more secluded edges of the meadow, where the grass is sparse but the silence is profound. He is a creature of reflection. He spends long hours standing in the warm, golden light of the afternoon, his head tilted slightly as if listening to the distant, half-remembered music of seasons long past. He is not sad, he is merely settled, his spirit finally aligning with the stillness of the earth. The herd treats him with a reverence that is as natural as it is unspoken. When the others move to graze, they often shift their patterns to include him, moving at a pace that allows him to remain within their circle. The younger ones, particularly the calves who are now growing into their own maturity, approach him with a cautious, curious respect. They sense the weight of his history, They do not challenge him, they seek his proximity, as if his very presence offers a layer of protection that goes beyond the physical. In these interactions, he is a silent teacher, his calm demeanor a living lesson in how to age with grace, dignity, and acceptance. His memories seem to layer over the present, a quiet, internal landscape of meadows he has walked and winters he has survived. He remembers the warmth of his mother's flank, the playful energy of his first spring, and the long, cold nights of his first independence. These are not disjointed thoughts, but a seamless tapestry of experience that gives him a sense of completeness. He knows that his life has been a series of small, perfect cycles, and this awareness fills him with a quiet satisfaction. He has fulfilled his purpose. He has contributed to the endurance of his kind. He has been a steady, reliable pulse in the heart of the herd. Autumn, in these final years, takes on a poignant, singular beauty. As the leaves begin to turn and the air chills, he finds he is more sensitive to the temperature, yet he finds this sharpness refreshing. It makes him feel alive, a final, crisp sharpening of his awareness before the long rest. He stands for hours under the fading canopy of the oaks, watching the world prepare for the winter. He sees the younger ones practicing their survival skills, and he feels a deep, ancestral pride. The legacy is secure. The herd will carry on, the meadow will continue to bloom, and the cycle will remain unbroken. This knowledge is his greatest comfort. His interactions with the rest of the herd are now mostly focused on the quiet, tactile reassurance of proximity. He finds his spot in the center of the huddle, not because he is in need of protection, but because the warmth of the others is a language he understands to be love. He rests his chin against the back of a younger cow, the steady, rhythmic sound of their chewing forming a familiar, lulling chorus that echoes the days of his youth. There is no urgency in his life anymore. There is only the beauty of the moment, the taste of the drying grass, the feeling of the sun on his back, and the simple, profound joy of belonging to the group. The nights are spent in a deep, peaceful rest. He dreams in fragments, the scent of fresh clover, the sound of a rainstorm, the feeling of a calf's first nudge. These dreams are the whispers of a life well lived. He is not afraid of the shadows or the cooling air. He understands the nature of the night better than any of the youngsters. He knows that the darkness is just the earth's way of whispering that it is time to be still. He has spent his entire life in dialogue with the land. And now, as he slows down, he is simply listening more intently than ever before. As the late autumn sun dips toward the horizon, casting a long, amber glow over the field, he stands for one final moment of observation. The herd is moving slowly toward the trees, a dark, rhythmic silhouette against the burning sky. He moves to join them, his steps heavy but steady. He is the keeper of the herd's memory, the silent archive of their shared existence. He has earned his rest, and he has earned the quiet dignity with which he carries his years. There is a lesson in his old age, that life is not just about the gathering of strength or the prime of one's vitality, but about the slow, deliberate harvesting of peace. He has moved through the world with a steady heart, and now, as his energy begins to wane, he finds that he has everything he needs. He is surrounded by his family. He is home in the meadow, and he is entirely, perfectly himself. As he settles down into the straw of the sheltered woods, the crickets begin their evening song. He lets out a long, slow breath, a sound of total, unburdened release. The world continues to turn, the stars continue to map the heavens, and he rests. He is a part of the beauty of this place, a quiet, enduring spirit that has become one with the hills and the grass. The evening is silent, save for the low, comforting rumbles of the herd, and in this stillness, he finds a contentment that is as deep as the earth itself.
He is exactly where he is meant to be, a witness to the final, gentle fading of the light, waiting for the peace that comes when the day is finally beautifully done. The final winter arrives not as a thief, but as a long-awaited guest. The meadow is draped in a thick, silent shroud of snow, and the sky is a constant, heavy palette of slate gray. For our elder, the cold is no longer a challenge to be overcome, but a state of being to be accepted. His body, weary from the cumulative weight of many years, moves with a deliberate, singular focus. The stiffness in his joints is a familiar companion, and his energy, once vast and boundless, has narrowed into a quiet, inward glowing ember. He feels no pain, only the slow, natural slowing of his biological clock. The world around him is quieting, the frantic pace of the seasons having reached a profound, motionless climax. The morning chill is sharp, biting at the air, but he feels it less than he once did. He stands at the edge of the woodland, his breath rising in thin, wispy clouds, observing the familiar landscape through eyes that have seen the world change 1,000 times. There is a strange, shimmering beauty in this final winter. The silence of the snow is absolute, a blanket of soundlessness that invites him to drift, to remember, and to let go. He does not seek the fresh forage of the spring or the warmth of the summer sun. His needs have been whittled down to the barest essentials, the proximity of the herd and the stillness of the earth. He approaches the herd one last time, moving with a grace that has been polished by the passage of time. They receive him with a gentle, instinctive grace, parting slightly to allow him to take his place in the center of their circle. There is no urgency here, no need for the bravado of his younger years. He is simply one of them, a piece of the whole that is now moving toward its inevitable, quiet conclusion. He feels the warmth of their bodies radiating against him, a final, tangible comfort that anchors him to this life. He leans against his companions, his heavy head resting on the neck of a younger, steady cow, and in this contact, he finds a profound, wordless farewell. His visit to the meadow is a slow, inward journey. As he stands there, he traces the geography of his life. He feels the memory of the ground beneath his hooves, the soft mud of the spring, the hard, baked earth of the summer, the crunchy frost of the autumn. Every step he has ever taken has led him to this exact, quiet coordinate in space and time. He realizes that his journey was never about reaching a destination. It was about the walk itself. He has completed the path, and there is a deep, resonant satisfaction in that. The circle is closing, the rhythm is slowing, and the song of his existence is reaching its final, perfect note. The farewell is not a dramatic event. There is no sudden break or rupture. It is a fading, a softening of the edges of his world. As the day reaches its peak, the light becomes a dim, diffused glow, and the sounds of the meadow, the distant wind, the occasional low rumble of the herd begin to sound as if they are coming from a great, peaceful distance. He feels a sense of lightness, a shedding of the physical burdens that have defined his form for so long. The stiffness, the weariness, the weight of the years, they are all beginning to dissolve into the cool, embracing quiet of the winter afternoon. He settles down in the sheltered hollow near the trees, the very spot where he had once watched the world with the restless curiosity of a youth. He curls his legs beneath him, his head resting on the snow-dusted grass. The herd remains close, a ring of sturdy, protective presence, their low, vibrating breaths serving as a steady, hypnotic pulse. He is not afraid. He is held by the land and by the family he helped to build and protect. The life he lived was not in vain. It was a necessary part of the earth's own breathing, a small, beautiful fragment of the world's enduring resilience. As the sun begins to fade, the colors of the sky shift into deep,
muted tones of violet and shadow. He closes his eyes, not out of exhaustion, but out of a sudden, deep sense of completion. The memories of the spring, the smell of the clover, the feeling of the first sun on his back are the last things he holds. They are vibrant, warm, and real. He is surrounded by the familiar scent of the herd, the earthy smell of the pasture, and the clean, bracing crispness of the winter air. Everything is as it should be. The meadow is silent, the herd is patient, and he is finally, fully at rest. The final transition is like the falling of a leaf, a quiet surrender to gravity and the natural pull of the earth. His breathing slows, each inhale becoming softer, shallower, until it matches the stillness of the surrounding woods. There is no struggle. There is only a profound, unfolding peace that begins at the center of his heart and radiates outward, touching the snow, the trees, and the very air itself. He is no longer tethered to the movement of the herd or the demands of the seasons. He is becoming part of the landscape he loved, a silent, enduring spirit within the heart of the meadow. The herd remains in a silent vigil, their ears alert, their presence a solemn tribute. They understand the nature of this quiet departure. They have witnessed the rhythm of life and death since the dawn of time. They stand in the dimming light, a group of dark, steadfast shapes against the expanse of the winter field. The silence is not one of grief, but of deep, ancient reverence. The elder has finished his walk, and the meadow acknowledges his return. As the first stars appear, brilliant and cold in the darkening sky, the elder is gone, leaving behind only the calm, unwavering memory of his presence. He was a guardian, a witness, and a part of the whole. The cycle continues. The world keeps its balance, and the meadow remains, an eternal sanctuary that remembers everything. The night is deep. The winter is heavy. But the promise of spring, though hidden, remains etched in the frozen ground. He has walked his path to the end, and in the quiet, absolute stillness of the winter, he has found the final, beautiful, and eternal rest. The dawn that follows is unlike any other. It arrives with a soft, persistent light that filters through the branches of the oaks, illuminating the meadow in a way that feels both brand new and achingly familiar. The snow of the final winter has begun to retreat, revealing the resilient, dark soil beneath, and the air is filled with the faint, invigorating scent of moisture and awakening earth. For the herd, life does not stand still. The cycle, as ancient as the soil itself, demands that they rise and meet the day. A new generation, vibrant and curious, stirs within the group. A young calf, now a strong, healthy yearling who has spent the last year observing and learning, stands at the edge of the hollow. He looks out over the field with eyes that carry the same steady, quiet intelligence that defined his predecessor. The meadow, in its infinite memory, holds the echo of the elder who has moved on. Yet, it does not mourn. Instead, it prepares for the miracle of repetition. The calf, now growing into the full promise of his maturity, takes his first steps toward the center of the pasture. He moves with a grace that is his own, yet there is a familiarity in his gait, a cadence in his walk that honors the path laid down by those who came before him. He is the physical manifestation of the herd's continuity, a living testament to the fact that while individuals may complete their journey, the essence of the group remains constant, unbreakable, and eternal. He joins the others as they begin their morning grazing. The herd moves with the same synchronized, fluid precision that has been their hallmark for thousands of years. They are a mosaic of strength and resilience, a living pulse that beats in time with the meadow. The younger ones, full of the spirited energy of spring, dart between the legs of their elders, their playful calls a sharp, bright contrast to the deep,
resonant lowing of the adults. The elder who has passed is not here in body, but he is here in the way the herd stands, in the way they graze, and in the quiet, unspoken confidence that defines their existence. He is in the collective memory of the group, a part of the unspoken language that guides their every move. The sun climbs higher, and the meadow begins to hum with the return of life. Insects dance in the columns of light. Birds announce their presence from the treetops, and the fresh, green shoots of grass press upward, eager to greet the warmth. It is a day of absolute, undeniable renewal. Our hero, who once was a calf standing in the shadow of his mother, has now fully stepped into the light. He possesses the wisdom of the herd, the strength of his maturity, and the calm, unwavering spirit of one who understands his place in the grand, sweeping design of nature. He takes his place in the rhythm of the day, his presence as steady and reassuring as the hills that cradle the valley. The cycle of the seasons is the music to which they all dance. Spring brings growth, summer brings abundance, autumn brings reflection, and winter brings the necessity of endurance. Each season is a chapter in the life of the herd, and each year is a page in the never-ending story of the meadow. As the yearling grazes, he senses this flow. He feels the pull of the seasons in his very blood. He knows that he is part of a grander story, one that does not belong to him alone, but to the land, the sky, and the long, noble lineage of his kind. This sense of belonging is a form of deep, spiritual peace that transcends the need for words. The meadow never forgets. Every path worn into the dirt, every spot of shade sheltered beneath the trees, and every tradition of movement is a record of those who lived before. The calf, now walking the same paths, is tracing the history of his ancestors. He is the present, but he carries the weight and the warmth of the past with him. This is the beauty of their life. They are never truly lost, because they are always walking in the footsteps of their kin. They are a link in an eternal chain, a sequence of lives that are as necessary to the meadow as the rain, the sun, and the soil. As the afternoon sun washes the pasture in a sea of brilliant gold, the herd rests. The yearling finds his spot, tucking his legs beneath him and settling into the soft, fragrant grass. He looks out at the distant tree line, the same tree line his elder watched for so many years. He feels a sudden, profound sense of connection to everything around him, the vibrant green of the grass, the vast open sky, and the comforting, rhythmic presence of his companions. He is at peace. He is a member of the herd, a child of the meadow, and a witness to the endless, beautiful unfolding of the world. The message of nature is simple, yet it is profound. Keep going, keep living, and keep honoring the rhythm of the earth. There is no end to the story, only a continuous, flowing transition from one moment to the next. The meadow continues to breathe, the herd continues to graze, and the spirit of the ancestors continues to guide them through the turning of the seasons. It is an ending that is not an end, but an invitation to begin again, to cherish the gift of existence, and to find beauty in the quiet, simple things that define a life. As the sun begins to set, casting long, peaceful shadows across the land, the herd begins to settle. The sounds of the day, the buzzing of the insects, the distant rustle of the wind slow down, merging into the gentle, ambient symphony of the evening. The yearling rests his head against the flank of another, feeling the steady, rhythmic warmth of a life that is vibrant and sure. He is home. He is safe. He is part of the unfolding miracle of the earth. The story of the cow is the story of all life, a journey of birth, growth, discovery, and eventual return to the silence of the soil. But here, in this green sanctuary,
The story is written in the language of persistence and peace. It is a documentary of the soul, a quiet reflection on the beauty of a life lived in harmony with the wild. And as the stars begin to claim the sky, casting a silver light over the dreaming herd, the meadow remains an eternal, watchful witness. The cycle continues, the new day awaits, and the peace of the pasture is, as it has always been, absolute and eternal. The story is closed, but the life goes on. One heartbeat, one breath, one gentle step at a time, drifting into the calm, restorative sleep of a world that is perfectly, wonderfully whole.